Hi. Well, tonight I'm back in the kitchen. Well, sort of. It's some of your ideas and some of my ideas mixed together. Just get my cups here. There's a recipe. Okay? There's pies, there's cakes, there's cobblers, there's crisps, like apple pie, apple crisps, apple cookies, apple cake. But then I said to myself, I've eaten so many apple pies, so many cakes, and I've made so many cobblers and crisps. You know, upside down cakes. And I wanted something different. And you know, I'm always trying to experiment. But at the same time, by keeping it simple. You know, I don't like recipes that have 50,000 ingredients and takes like 6 to 12 hours to make. I know we all have better things to do than spending our time in the kitchen, you know. And honestly, sometimes it's even cheaper to go and buy it at the store, you know, than to make it. But if you have certain ingredients at home, you can make a very simple dessert in no time at all. So we're going to experiment something. You know, I didn't want to make another apple pie or a cobbler or anything. So I came up with my own idea again. You know, I made the muffin pie in one of my videos. I got here some canned peaches, sliced canned peaches. Because normally, when we stock up, we always have some canned goods, you know, lying around the pantry, whatever. So I said, I wanted to make something with peaches this time. Well, you can do it with apples too if you want, or other kinds of fruit. But I wanted peaches. So, I got my peaches here. I separated the peaches from the liquid, the juice, the syrup or whatever. And this is in water. The syrup is like in water. There's no artificial flavors or colors or anything. It's all natural. And it's not a heavy, heavy syrup. So we'll just put that aside for now. Now, what you're going to need is oatmeal. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have oatmeal at home for breakfast or whatever. This is Robin Hood's Large Flake Oats. And I'm not promoting products, no. This is not a promotional video. It's just what I have and what I buy because I like the products. So, not to make it too loud either, you know. Because some people are relaxing. Very important. Now we got our oats. I've got here some brown sugar, which we're going to need some brown sugar. You can use white sugar or ordinary sugar. You can even use maple syrup if you want. Corn syrup too goes. Whatever you have on hand, but this recipe, I'm calling for brown sugar. So just put that aside. Shh, not so loud. I got some margarine. Yes. I got a little bit of butter, but it's in the freezer and it's frozen to like a solid brick. I didn't want to bother taking it out and unthawing it and everything. When I got margarine. Yeah, does the job. Then we've got flour. Famous flour. You don't need eggs, you don't need milk, you don't need any other ingredients. We have it all here, what we need. And of course you need a bowl, some measuring cups, or if you want to go by eye, you can do it by eye too, if you're good at it. And like I said, this is a first test recipe. I've never made this before. It's all new for us. Just put this aside too for now, because we have to start with the oats. That's our first ingredient. So I've got here 1 cup. I got 1 cup of oats. It's raining oats. It's raining oats. Okay. Now, I'm going to do 3 cups. I would rather have more than not enough. So, excuse me more. So we got 3 cups of oats. Now, I've got here half a cup. And for those that are new here, you're wondering what I'm doing with these sounds. It's called ASMR. Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. It's to help you relax. Yeah. Get that little sensation. Yeah. Okay. Now we've got our 3 cups of oats. We want to add half a cup of flour. Okay. Don't need a whole lot. It's just the binder we want to help. Mix that up. Now you can add spices. You can add cinnamon, cloves, ginger, whatever's your fancy if you're into spices. I am into spices a lot. Like if this was apple, for example, for sure I would be adding cinnamon or maybe some allspice or something. But seeing it's peaches, I want to taste just the peach flavor. I don't want to go overboard with heavy spices on this. Get the flour out of the way. Now we want to add our brown sugar. I think I'm going to have quite a lot. That's okay. Because even if I have some mix left over, I can make some cookies. Yeah, so nothing's wasted. So we'll go again with our half cup. Why dirty another cup when we don't have to? Back that down. So half a cup of brown sugar, and depending how sweet you're going to want it, I'm going to go a cup and a half, let's say, of brown sugar. Okay, let's say a cup and a half of brown sugar. Will that be enough? Anyway, like, oh, to test it, but kind of dry. Okay, now, of course, I'm gonna get my hands dirty, of course. Peaches. 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 Now, for the margarine, I would have to measure out how much margarine, but I'm going to wing it. Let's say half a cup of margarine. That's about half a cup of margarine. I'm going to go 3/4 of a cup of margarine. Anyways, to start off with, these to get mixed together with all of this. It's sort of almost like if you were making a dough, you know, but with oats. And if I was to add eggs, make it into like cookies, you know, and make some oatmeal cookies. Don't make a mess everywhere. You know, I'm good for that. Yeah. But then you're not a real good cook if sometimes you don't make a mess. Yeah. I think I'm gonna add another teaspoon of margarine just to make it. So we'll do like 1 cup of margarine. Okay. Now, I'm going to have to get in there with my hand. He's so loud. If you don't want to get your hands dirty, you don't have to. But eventually you might have to. Yeah. This is where, sort of like where the crumble part comes in. It's starting to feel good at least. How many ingredients have I used? I got peaches 1, oatmeal 2, flour 3, sugar 4, margarine 5. So this is a 5 ingredient recipe. Not bad. I hope you can see what it's looking like. I'm pretty sure you can hear what it sounds like. And you don't have to add salt or anything. Definitely not pepper. This seems to be pretty good. I'm going like when I've made, crisps or apple crisps before. Got the texture. Something like that. Okay, now, what comes the fun, innovative part of the whole process. A pie plate. Instead of a dish, I'm using a pie plate because, yes, we're making a peach crisp crumble pie. Something like that. Yeah. Now, you're going to take your mixture. You're going to want to put it in your pie plate. You'll probably end up using at least half of it, if not more. You want to pack it down, but at the same time, you want to get it up on the sides. Don't press too hard, because you don't want to over pack it either. Just try and get it in everywhere. Yeah, I'm sticking. Keep one hand dry at least. A bit more there. And a little bit more here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. as long as you have it all around, and then it comes up to the rim. It's like a pie crust, actually. Pretty similar to a pie crust. Or, when you get those graham cracker pie crusts, like if you're making like a coconut pie or whatever, those pie crusts that are already made. Okay. Now that we've got up to the rim, it's about a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch, the bottom and around. So I never have enough room or countertop to work with. I always seem to take more than I actually have. Now, peaches. You can be fancy with your peaches if you want, or you could just dump them in. But I like to go like around. So and be careful. They're slippery. Yeah, they might pop off all over the place. They're a thick one. You can go in the middle. Going around with my peaches. Put the thicker ones in the middle. Round and round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. Hope everyone's having a relaxing evening, or day, or whatever. And maybe you've watched maybe some good shows, or some good movies, or maybe you've gone out for a walk outside. Maybe you have a dog. You had to go walk the dog, which is good. We're getting pretty fancy here. Yeah, they're peaches. Making like a little flower pattern. Yeah. Now, like another spoon here somewhere. Oh, I guess not. I don't. I'll use the same one. Now we've got our liquid, our peach juice or syrup. You want to pour that gently over your peaches. So 2 tablespoons. 3 tablespoons, 4 tablespoons, and a bit around the crust too. You want to put a little bit of the syrup all around. Crust here. There. Now comes the tricky part. We want to add top crust or crumble. Everything's gonna go hide. The peaches are going bye-bye. Yep. And then, end up calling it a cobbler. gobbler pie, but I've got a new word for it. It's going to be called the gobbler. Yeah, because people are going to just gobble it up. Well, you want to hide all those peaches. I thought I'd have a lot, but I don't. I end up using it all. No more. Oh, really sticking. Okay. Bring it down. I want everything to hold. And this way, you see, I didn't add eggs or anything, so not for it to rise, because you wouldn't put that in a pie crust anyways. Now, we want to take some more of our famous peach syrup. Want to go all around. That's why I said this is sweet too, so it depends on the level of sweetness you have. Are you like a 5, 6, or are you like a 10? No, out of 10. Are you like a very sweet tooth? I'm on the sweet level. I would say I'm a 5. Yep. Just one more time here. You don't want to over drown it either if possible, because you can always add afterwards if you want on top. Now we've got to bake this for half an hour at 350 degrees until it starts to go golden brown. I'm just going to put that out of the way so I can clean up a bit here too. I'll wash my hands and all that. So I'm going to put that in the oven, and then I'll come back later and show you the final product when she's cooked. And we'll cut into it. We'll see what our experiment is like. You know, totally crazy. We'll be back later. Okay. Well, I'm back. And we got it cooked. Yeah. I left it in for about 40 minutes. So give it time enough to brown to my liking. So this is our gobbler pie, or our gobbler crisp, gobbler, whatever you want to call it. But I call it the gobbler. So let's see what it looks like inside. Try not to cut my foil. And of course, like any crisp or any gobbler or whatever, of course, it'll probably be a bit messy, but that's the fun part. I like it like that. Try not to cut my aluminum foil plate. I don't have all those fancy equipment thingies. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't either. I know. Like a triangle thing to take the pie out. Can I do it? Can he do it? I like them when they do it on the TV and the internet when everything is perfect, But I'll make you a bet that there's like a lot of takes that they have to do. So this is the pie. See? Now we got a piece out. Listen here, give you an idea. Okay. That's the pie. I would have to take like one of those model shots, like after, what it looks like. This is what the pie looks like. I just want to see. It's going to be very hot. I want to see how the crisp turned out. For me, this is plenty sweet. And while it's warm, if you want to add a bit of ice cream, vanilla ice cream, whatever, for the peaches. On the top. The bottom crust or the bottom crisp is not quite crunchy enough. Maybe you might want to go a little bit easy on the peach liquid, but probably what I would recommend is like with the syrup from the peaches, maybe boil it down to get a good syrup, Or you can also add maybe a bit of sugar to it to sort of thicken it, or even a bit of cornstarch, But then we're not talking 5 ingredients anymore. I like it, honestly. I like it to be a little moist and the bottom and crunchy on the top. It does give you the idea of a pie, but with a whole different perspective. So, if you want, you can give it a try. Like I said, keep it simple. And you could always even put a caramel on top of that. You can go fancy if you want. But like I say, simple is better. And it's easier. And now I've had time to pick up my kitchen and do my dishes. Because I hate to do dishes. I don't like doing dishes. even if I had a dishwasher, I still wouldn't like doing dishes. So, anyways, it's done. I picked up my pie's made, or my gobbler is made. So I have dessert for tomorrow. So, you take care. We love you. And be catching you, who knows, in another adventure. Bye for now. Bye. Yeah, honestly, that's not bad. I'm gonna have to put it in some so it doesn't get soggy. Yeah.